What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the What the Fun Show. Today we are discussing Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, Episode 3. So if you have not watched our review of the first two episodes, we'll have that link down below. Go ahead and check that episode out. We'll also have a card up in the right-hand side of the YouTube video if you're watching us on YouTube. And so we're going to be reviewing the third episode today. This will be a spoiler review. We'll hit you with our spoiler-free stuff before that, but let me introduce the panel. I just got one man with me here today, one of my bros. You know him, you love him, the Duck Man himself. Justin, how you doing?
Hello, I'm here and patiently waiting for episode 4 to release on Friday.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It is hard to wait, isn't it?
Yeah, it's nothing. Like I grew up with commercial breaks and waiting week-longs before content was just handed to you day one. But it's hard when something's very good, for sure.
Yeah, it is so good right now. I'm fumbling over words because I'm trying to think of good words to explain how much I like this show. But let's get into a little bit of housekeeping before we hit our spoiler-free review. Obviously, this is the What the Fun Show. You could follow us on Twitter and Facebook at What the Fun Pod. Go ahead and follow us there. Also, follow us on your podcasting platform of choice. Please go ahead and hit that follow button. That truly helps us in the algorithm, as well as leaving a comment, leaving a review. Please go ahead and leave that 5-star review or a different star and just let us know how we are doing. Please, we would love to read your comments, read your reviews on the show itself. If you're watching us on YouTube, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 100 subscribers. Again, not trying to be YouTubers, just trying to be able to say youtube.com/whatthefunpod. And so that happens when we hit 100 subscribers. So please do that. Like the video. Comment down below what you think of Rings of Power so far. I know that me and Justin are pretty high on it. So yeah, we did just release a episode of Test Your Might this past week, which is our video game debate show. So go ahead and check that out. Cicero, Justin, and our friend of the show, Brian, go ahead and battle it out while Cicero hosts. So yeah, lots of fun stuff on the podcasting feed. So let's get into it. Episode 3, titled Adar?
Adar, yeah.
Adar, okay. Titled Adar, and Justin, hit us with your spoiler-free review of this particular episode.
In honor of Jelly, patent pending. This is Lord of the Rings. If you like Lord of the Rings, it's got characters in it. It's a show. And then my review. I like it. Visually, doesn't stop. The camera pans, the animations, the cinematography, it's top of the line. They really put a lot into it. It really draws you in with just that, with no words spoken. And then everything else is on top. So I feel like this show has really shown what a director can do when given the correct amount of tools at his disposal.
I could not agree more. This is just so good. The set pieces alone, like you said, just draw you in, bring you into this, what is so far to me a very good story. But I mean, this show stands on visuals alone, even so. The set pieces, even the CGI in those set pieces look like they are actually there.
Yeah.
Like it just, obviously they utilized the budget to its fullest extent, perfectly. And yeah, just so excited for the future of the show. Galadriel, I like her storyline so far. I like everything that is happening with the elves that were captured by orcs, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But yeah, all in all, just another solid episode. So let's get into it. Obviously, if you have not seen episode 3 of Rings of Power, consider this your official spoiler warning. Hey, you.
What's that? What the?
What are you doing?
Who, me?
Do you want to be spoiled? No? Well then,
Stop it. Get some help.
so you don't feel like this guy. And Instead, let it be a surprise.
Oh, I like surprises.
So go watch the thing before you move on in the podcast, okay?
Alrighty then.
Okay, that was your official spoiler warning, and so we'll get into the spoiler territory here, Justin. Galadriel and Halbrand are picked up by a ship captained by Elendil, who takes them to Numenor, an island kingdom ruled by men. And Numenor is really all you have to say as far as the visuals and the set pieces. Like this really starts off on a good note with that.
Yeah, it starts kind of beneath the deck of the ship, and then they really the exposure just hits you so quick. The brightness when they go up on the top of up on the main deck, and you see the visuals of the boats moving towards this, and the camera pans behind it and up above the archway. It just looks so amazing, and you see the city behind it gleaming and glistening. And it looks amazing. It's something that's just like your jaws open watching because it looks so good. It looks real. It really does.
It does look real. The other thing that I wanted to point out is that like they really portray Numenor as like this sort of like heavenly place, but for men. And so it does kind of bridge into this story like really well, how they contrast Numenor with the Southlands and Middle Earth, as well as the opposite side where the elves, where they are going, when they are enlightened and they're going to their, so to speak, heaven place, Valinor. And it's just kind of cool how you see, especially within the story, because in the story it's talked about in this episode that the elves and the people of Numenor were actually buddies, and they fought together. They were people of peace, and now they really don't like each other. And so it's kind of cool to see that contrast of like, here's Valinor, here's Numenor. Like these two are the separate. They're perfect worlds apart from Middle Earth.
Exactly. Yeah, it really shows the change in relationships as well. Being buddy like you said. And now it's kind of like we are separate, but we're not technically enemies. It's kind of like a little thin line between.
Yeah. So speaking of that, relations between the island and the elves have grown strained, and Queen Regent Muriel denies Galadriel's request for a ship back to Middle Earth. Now, Justin, I don't know if you got this, but I think if Galadriel was a little more empathetic, a little more nice in this meeting, she may have gotten a ship. Maybe, just maybe. Who knows?
I don't know. It's kind of like Queen Regent is like kind of trying to control her world, her little area. And I don't know if she would have let Galadriel to get a ship and go. Even if she was the nicest of persons, I think she kind of wants to have that control. You are in my area now. You are going to abide by my rules. And I'm sure Galadriel sees that. Obviously, we see what happens next.
Yes. So Galadriel, she is there alongside the man that we met, Halbrand. And Halbrand he really saves Galadriel's butt here, because I think she was getting in the thick of it with the men, with the group there that was the leaders of Numenor, the council basically, and Halbrand was like, "Hey, let's slow down here. Let's give it a few days as you kind of think about this, and let's just stay here for a little while and have you consider giving us a boat in a couple days' time." Obviously, he has some other motives, though, right, Justin?
Yeah, it's really interesting, this point here where he kind of gives her an option to leave with him. This is like Queen was really against her doing anything that was going to jeopardize her plan. And I feel like Halbrand was even said that. He said, like, I'm supposed to watch you and make sure you don't do anything, pretty much at knife point. Or dagger point. And I feel like it just like kind of, this was the one thing that I had a gripe with this episode, and it's the first gripe I've ever had, is how quickly it went from "you're not going anywhere or I'll alert your keepers so you'll be back in chains" to "we'll go together," and then they're just riding steeds across the dunes and the sands.
Yeah, it was a quick turnaround, I'll give you that. But I think it was necessary, and I think it worked ultimately because Galadriel did have sort of that time to kind of just chill out. Obviously she's a bajillion years old at this time, right? So she knows the history between this people group and the elves. So she's not too fond of the Numenorans, so to speak. But obviously she does find out that Elendil has, some elvish heritage to his family tree as well. So that was sort of the bond that quickly mended Galadriel's like viewpoint of the Numenor people. Numenorians. So speaking of that particular scene there, Justin, as you bring that up, Galadriel visits Numenor's Hall of Lore, which Elendil does take her to. If there is one gripe that I had with this was the slow motion horse.
Yeah.
Like
I was like,
maybe
she just really likes riding horses, because she was like, "Did you say ride?" And then it's like, and like she's just like slow motion riding a horse, like happy grin face. Like that's what took me. It was really that like part. Like even if they were just like normally galloping towards the Hall of Lore, I'd be fine with it. I think it ties in with that kind of like hard cut to changing the plot.
Yeah, I'm okay with the change in plot, but the that sort of slow motion was just like sort of unnecessary.
Maybe if it was too long. It was too long. I think it was definitely shortened, too long. It would have been okay.
Well, and I think what they really wanted to do was again take a cue from the visuals and like show, her dress flailing in the wind and this like kind of like this magnificent horse or whatever. But I had a problem with the length of the slow motion. But I also had another problem in that at one point, did it look like her stunt double?
No, not for me.
Was it the actress at all? Okay,
it looked
not
like
for
her.
you. For some reason, the way that the picture cut and the way that she was smiling, it didn't really look like her resting face. As she just is acting as Galadriel versus on the horse. So that again, that was a little weird to me, but like I said, I like the plot changing because they do discover that the Mark of Sauron is actually a map of the Southlands, where a new realm for evil forces is planned. So Galadriel, although she is seemingly so far away from her task at hand, she's finding some good evidence here that Sauron is still around.
Yeah, definitely leading her in the right direction. And no matter where she is and what she's dealing with, there's still signs that Sauron is around. So it's kind of tying it all together. I like it.
Yeah, I really like it too. Now, Justin, maybe you can, and maybe Joe can fact check us when he's on the next episode. But we miss you, Joe. But like, was this? Did we know about the sign of Sauron in the original trilogy or even The Hobbit? Did we know about that sign?
I don't know. I don't know about that. I definitely don't think it was a map like the sign of I definitely didn't know that. But it ties up.
And that's the reason why I ask this is I'm just kind of wondering if the map of like Middle Earth and like that territory that you see like maybe in the original trilogy, because you do see some of the map within the original trilogy. I'm wondering if like you kind of see that sign, but I don't know if this is something that's being written into the story. I would almost presume. Yes,
well, with the map of that area in the original, you can like they do a transition kind of overlay of the map with the symbol in this episode. I think honestly, I think Joe would have mentioned it in the first 2 episode review. If that symbol, because we did see the symbol, if it meant anything, I think he would have said something on top of the fact it was a
I agree.
Yeah. We'll ask, but we'll get back.
We will. We'll double check with him. So Galadriel also learns that Halbrand, who is imprisoned after fighting some Numenorians, is the king of the Southlands. So yeah, Galadriel obviously believes that it is not happenstance that they have met on the sea. But let's talk a little bit about Halbrand himself. I do think the H is silent, at least and I've been using it. Does it sound silent when Galadriel says it?
Yeah, but she does have an accent, but I think it is
maybe.
silent.
Okay, so maybe it's just Halbrand with an H at the front. Little old Hal. Anyway, he's getting into some shenanigans, Justin.
Yeah, I actually want to call back to before they went on that romantic horse ride. Because he said a line that I really enjoyed to Galadriel. He said, "I have two children. One runs really fast, and the other one runs blind. And you are a bit of both." And I really liked that line that he threw at her. It really made her question how she was constructing herself, how she was showing herself to any situation, because she was really running fast and getting into trouble because of it.
Yeah, no, I agree. But yeah, continue with Halbrand. Like, what is he? He's trying to kind of set a new path, create a new life here in Numenor.
Yeah. He obviously wants it to be the way it was, I guess, but also better. And he knows that the queen isn't doing that. And he really wants his place. He's kind of a opposite of Aragorn, in my opinion, because Aragorn was kind of avoiding his task at hand. But Halbrand is like, I don't know, he's got a good heart, and that's what makes it really interesting here, because I think he has Galadriel's goals at mind, but also he's protecting his country or his people.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing here is that, he tries to get in with the blacksmiths because he's trying to make a new life for himself here on Numenor. He gets in a fight with them.
Well, he steals. He steals from them. Like he thinks, okay, I'm going to be nice to these all these people because I want to get into the blacksmiths and I need a crest to do so. And he tries to get everyone drunk and happy and fun and sleight of hand his way to get one of the crests, and that doesn't work out. Yeah, he gets he's brutal. Number one.
He can
that
fight.
That fight scene was gross in the alleyway. But he knows when to stand down because obviously he gets caught and captured.
Oh, for sure. So yeah, he gets captured. The shocking revelation sort of at the end of the episode, or at least the end of their story in this episode, Galadriel and Halbrand, is that he is the king of the Southlands, which does mean that he is the king of the people who swore their services to Morgoth and to now Sauron. So what kind of story do you think Halbrand is going to kind of be playing here? Like, do you think they are truly retreading Return of the King? Or do you think it's going to be different?
It's hard to say because it's supposed to be a 5-season show. So it's hard to say. It could be a little give and take. I think it could be both sides. I think it could show the character growth throughout seasons and show him change. I'm sure he has those thoughts of, Sauron and Morgoth being the leader and being above him. But I think he's on the fence about it because of everything's going on. I feel like he's kind of like trying to change and know that that original way was not the correct one.
Yeah. And I don't think it's a gripe. I'm just sort of weary of just retreading the Return of the King like storyline. Even though Return of the King, obviously, like Aragorn, he is he's the next king in line, right? But ultimately the the men aren't on the bad side, so to speak, in Return of the King, but still, I mean, there is a potential that they could hit similar story beats. And I hope that they set themselves apart from that. So
You want them to be unique.
Yeah, certainly. Like, it is okay if he returns to his kingdom and establishes himself as king. I'm okay with that, but I don't. I'm like wondering if maybe like he does get turned, to the dark side again. Like he gets influenced maybe later on in the season with by Sauron and his army of orcs. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. I don't like. It would be nice if he had some redemption arc, so to speak. But at the end of the day, maybe, as you said, there's 5 seasons of this potentially planned. Maybe there's some give and pull with him that he, turns evil again or whatnot. You just never know.
Yeah, I'm okay with that too, because it's a unique character. He's really trying to do his own thing with new stuff around him. So give and pull is definitely going to make seasonal changes more enjoyable for me.
Yeah.
And talking about seasonal changing, that is the end of the Galadriel part of this episode, and now we move into the Harfoots, and we go to what I was talking about during the first 2 episodes, how these hobbits do not stay in one place, and they are planning to have their seasonal migration. So the Harfoots prepare for their seasonal migration. The stranger is revealed while trying to read some star maps. So Nori here tries to steal star maps from the seer, or the prophecy, the leader of the camp. And she does do that, and she gets them to the stranger. And I guess the stranger is kind of a klutz at this point.
Well, I mean, he's sort of drunk with like trying to figure things out, really. That's kind of how to describe it. Like, he's just so overwhelmed that he doesn't have wherewithal of what he is doing. And by the way, that's Sadok Burrows, who is the sort of the astrologist that is part of the Harfoot group. But yeah, I really enjoyed that scene, as you bring that up, Justin, where she's hiding under the table, trying to get Sadok's book, or pages of that same constellation that the stranger showed with the fireflies. I enjoyed that.
They do. Poppy's trying to distract him while Nori's under the table. It was perfect. It was well done.
It was a really good scene.
Yeah, but she does get the papers. She hands them to the stranger during the town meeting, and he accidentally lights it on fire. And it starts, and he's just blowing on it. He's waving his hand on it, trying to put out the fire. Eventually, I believe, knocking down one of the tents, and then causing a comeuppance, so everyone notices him. Pretty much. Yeah,
he gets underneath a sort of like a weaved blanket, but it's more like a shelter, like a tarp, but and yeah, he just looks like Bigfoot. He just looks like this scary like person that nobody knows. Nobody knows what he's all about. So, but he does end up going with them, which is kind of cool. And especially it's helpful for Nori's father, who got injured in episode 2.
Yeah, that was actually something we didn't talk about during the stranger's prophecy, or during his big moment with the fireflies. Is he was dragging a stick on the ground, and as he dragged the stick broke, and at that exact moment, her father was trying to pull a cable or pull some rope, and his leg snapped, which was gruesome, but it happened in conjunction, which kind of like added to that whole like mystical presence of the stranger that we did discuss.
Agreed. So, but yeah, as you mentioned, they are migrational people. They continue to move. It seems like they have ebb and flows to their movement. Like they have certain seasons. They abide by a book. They move when that season is right. I don't know. I don't know if they exactly move when they feel unsafe, but it seems like that. Sadok, the astrologer Harfoot, he sort of has a read on when the Harfoots should be moving, should be migrating. So, but yeah, Nori, Nori is kind of put under the fire when the stranger sort of shows up, right?
Yeah, that was great cinematography right there as well. When he made the comeuppance, or he made the catastrophe, and everyone revealed himself pretty much. That's what I'm trying to say. The camera panned up from behind him, and he was towering over like Bigfoot, like you said, and all you saw was the other Harfoots kind of like keeled over on the ground, and Nori's head poked up in the background because she was the only one that knew about him and the only one that was okay with him.
Yeah.
So you've got all these other Harfoots just start rising up, but they're nothing in height compared to the foreground of the stranger. Well done. Again, director knows what he's doing.
Yes. As you said, well done. Like it does, it all works. And yeah, just some really cool scenes. Like, the Brandyfoots, I believe their last name is. They were kind of not really the head of the group, but they were certainly one that were held high esteem within the group. So they are usually up front in this caravan, that they're migrating. But because of this whole thing with the stranger and Nori being the main culprit of, stranger being around, they kind of put them to the back of that line. But the stranger, he hides.
Yeah.
He's in their caravan, right, Justin?
He's skittish. That's the point. He's scared of fire, number one. And if our rumors or ideas are true, that will change for sure. But it's a different take on a character that we might have known. For sure.
Might.
That's the best way to put it. And it's something that's surprising to see for people that are with us and think that it's this person. It's very odd, but it's enjoyable at the same time, because it's like seeing someone as a baby before they grow up to be the power force that we saw and know and love.
Yes. Okay, let's get into the other storyline within this episode. The elves. So the sort of the militaristic elves that were watching over the people, the men of the Southlands there, they were captured, as we saw, the kind of like that horror scene from last week's episode too. Yeah. Arendir has been captured by orcs and taken to a construction camp digging underground passages so orcs can travel during the day. And a lot of other elves have already been captured. And so he sort of is greeted by a company of people that he knows and loves. However, they're in a sort of a predicament here.
Yeah, it really shows the orcs and how not grotesque, but how gruesome they are to anyone.
Oh, they're grotesque though too.
Yeah, also true. They want what they want when they want it, or you're dead. That's pretty much it. That's the way to put it. Bottom line, you die if you don't do what we tell you to do. But escape time, right? Let's get it. Yeah, so I'm still confused on the ending of the escape, but for the most part, they try to break their chains, which they're all chained to underneath this into the tunnels so that the orcs don't have to come out, but they can pull them back in after they're done with their labor. They try to break their chains, and the orcs release a warg, which is a giant beast.
An orc dog.
Yeah, an orc dog without wings.
Another version of an orc dog,
Yeah, this one is definitely a lot cuter than the other ones, in a way.
In a way.
Yeah, it's in a way. Yeah. So
that thing ugly.
it's ugly, but not as ugly as the ones in The Hobbit. That's what I'm saying.
True.
This thing bites and kills a few of them, and eventually, our main dude here, or Arendir, manages to spear it, saving his one close friend that was next to him most of the scene.
Yeah, and
But
Go
he
ahead.
gets out of the trench, starts running, and immediately stops because he took an arrow to the knee. No, because he got shot by an arrow. No idea from who.
Mm.
I couldn't tell. I don't know if you could, if it was an elven arrow or not.
No, I think it was just orc scouts that are, you
In
know,
front?
surrounding the dig site.
Okay.
You know, and just making sure that there's no way to escape.
It's possible.
But yeah, I mean, let's go back to the fight, because here is where slow motion worked awesome.
Yeah.
Worked brilliantly. Like Arondir and the other elves are fighting, and you just kind of see these slow motion action scenes of excuse me, like Arondir like flying towards some of the orcs and stabbing them in the neck, stuff like that.
The backflip, awesome.
Yeah.
To dodge the warg, and the warg goes through the roots of a tree. Awesome.
Yeah.
All great.
Yeah, certainly. All really good stuff. And Justin, I want to get your opinion on this, because I really thought that this was going to happen. I got fooled, but I do know that elves sometimes have the ability to talk to the trees. And so I thought that when Arondir was going to go up to that tree, and I thought he was going to speak to it, and potentially like Ents would show up.
So
because we did see Ents in the opening cinematic of episode 1.
So in my opinion, when he went up, he said the whole deal about why most of them died and why you need to do what you're told is because they were told to chop down this tree, and they were refusing to. They were saying the tree's been here longer than you have. It deserves to be here.
Yeah.
And finally, Arondir, I never get his name right, but he's awesome.
I say Arondir.
Arondir. He says, "I'll chop it down," and he walks up to the tree, and he does mutter something to the tree in Elvish or in some tongue, and I believe he was telling that tree, "I'm sorry." You know, I feel like he was saying, you know, I have to do this.
Yeah, giving it its respects.
And I'm sure those words were sent. Those words were sent.
I mean,
that's my opinion.
That's my opinion too. That, you know, like
it's possible the Ents are going to come in next episode. That's possible.
That's just a thought.
It's
crazy
a good one.
Theory.
No, it's a good theory. That's a good one.
Okay.
I
cool.
definitely feel
glad you're on the same page with me.
Yeah, the way that he touched it, the way he spoke to it, signified.
Yeah, it was very ceremonial.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. But yeah, I mean that's a kind of exactly what I thought was going to happen. But obviously it didn't.
Groot.
But I mean, but Groot could still show up. You know, we just don't know. But yeah, all in all, that particular storyline was really cool. In this particular episode, the fight scenes were good, but as you said, there seems to be no escape. No escape, because you know elves were either killed in the pit, or the one that was about to get away, as you said, was standing there, turned around, and he had a arrow to his heart. So. Yeah, Arondir's in a pickle, especially because the orcs did get commanded by probably the leader orc or whatever to be taken to Adar.
Yeah, so this is not an orc. I don't think this is an orc. Adar is not an orc.
Adar,
from the panning, from the shape and the body texture, I think. It wasn't shown his face, but I know that I don't believe this is an orc. Now, the big baddie, the ultimate big baddie, Morgoth. I'm going back into the notes here. He was known to take fallen elves and convert them into orcs. Okay, so this was kind of like a midway point. I don't think this is Sauron. I really don't. I think this is like the leader of the orcs, which happened to be a fallen elf. That's my opinion. Take it. It's a blade of grass.
I will disagree. I think this is Sauron.
Really?
I think they just blurred him because they want to save that reveal for the following episode. And like it sort of makes sense in my mind too, because episode 4 is next. sort of the midway point, or the start of the midway point, if you take 4 and 5 of the whole season. And it is time to, in my opinion, reveal the big bad. And the
Really?
big bad is Sauron. I think that's who it is. And what sort of better way to, have him hide in plain sight with the orcs, like underneath these trails and hiding within his leagues of orcs. I do think it's Sauron.
I don't know. I think that's kind of below him. I don't think it would be him. It's up for debate. We'll find out on Friday. But yeah, that's something.
Yeah.
It could be. It's smart to be. Episode 4, it's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Screenwriting.
I don't know if it's below him either. I think he's working sort of under the guise of, the orcs right now, and that he potentially has obviously we know that he has a bigger and greater plan. Because we know the Lord of the Rings, right? We know that story. So eventually we're going to come to a head where that is going to be his storyline, where he creates the One Ring. But sorry, spoilers. But like, I almost could see it really working out in the sense of like maybe Kingpin from Daredevil. Like he's sort of manipulating things to start off with, and then he comes out, as this like big bad in a war, at the end of this particular season. So I think it could work out. But I mean, let us know what you think down in the comments. If you think that was Sauron at the end, if you don't, let us know who you think it might be. But yeah, Justin, that brings us to the end of the episode. Remember, we are not giving a number rating to each episode during the season. We are just saying if we are all in on the season, if we are optimistic and have high hopes, or if we are concerned. So Justin, give us an explanation of where you're at with this show after episode 3.
So visually, if the entire movie was muted, I'd be all in. With the words, I am still all in. But I think the gripes I had with this episode moved that needle just a hair. Still all in, but just a hair. And I am enjoying it. I can't wait. Like I said, Friday can't come sooner. Which, if you're listening to this, it should be out. Yeah, enjoy. I'm loving it. I can't wait. I will be honest if this show starts turning into Halo, for me. I will be honest. But right now, it is holding strong up there. Maybe
right now, it's not Halo.
Yeah, right now it is nothing compared to that Halo. Yeah.
I'm with you as well. I'm still all in. I really hope that they go back on some of the slow motion, unless it's within a fight scene, because I didn't like that. But all the stories I'm with, I like the characters. I like what they're doing with each of the storylines. I also really enjoy the fact that we have 3 separate storylines that are all going to come to a point. They're all big, even though Harfoots are small. Their story is big. Even though Arondir is all by himself now, his story is big. I'm really hoping that everything comes to fruition, and we just stick the landing here. I'm still all in. It's gonna be hard for me not to be all in at this point. So maybe I'll show some concerns here, but who knows? So let us know what you thought of episode 3 of the Rings of Power. Again, leave comments down below. You got a couple tasks. Let us know if you think that was Sauron at the end. Let us know what you thought about the episode. And most importantly, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Follow us on all of the podcast apps that you use. And you can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook at What the Fun Pod. You can follow Justin at rubberduck_2500. You could follow me at StayAtHomeGamer, where the O in home is a 0, on Twitter as well. And again, this has been our review of Rings of Power episode 3, and it's been the What the Fun Show. My name is Mike. That is Justin. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.